Well, you're there. Yep.
Be able to get this thing up there then?
Yeah, nope.
No? You can't swing it?
Nope. That's not wanting me to go anywhere.
So where's your dog?
It's right here.
She bring it up.
Yeah.
He's gonna connect to your computer.
I got it.
Oh, you did?
I think I did. Yeah.
We just can't get it over there yet. But
I'm gonna just close it. I'm gonna try it again.
Well, you might have to get it open here and then push it over there.
Yeah, but it wouldn't open for me. You know what I mean? It's there, but
Just click on that.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
I'm not that, silly. I just.
We got a couple of between the fence.
Do you want to go see if you can see it online? See if it's live? Sure. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Anyway.
Which one?
she asked us to reply separately. Oh, there's so much like stuff in the house.
Whiskey need to bring a couple of kids in here to help.
This is no kidding.
Yeah,
No kidding.
that's true.
Ready to start? All right, I'm going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll consider for approval the minutes and agenda.
Motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
I'll second the motion. On a motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. 9 a.m., Julie Burkholder, Fort City Chamber Commerce Director, to request use of courthouse grounds. Morning,
Yes.
Julie.
Good morning. Yeah, I just have this form here requesting for July 14th and 15th.
All right. And in the past, we always made sure that they understood the rules of what has to be done accordingly, so
Okay,
that's why we have the form.
got it.
All right.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is for pucker brush then?
Yes.
Okay.
Pucker brush. Yep.
And what's the dates on that?
It's July 14th and 15th.
Okay.
So is that always covered, the insurance? Whose insurance covers that?
We have property insurance, but they probably have their own insurance for events.
Events? Okay, just checking.
Yeah,
It's never been
I'll
a
check with
problem.
Norma.
Yeah, it's never been a problem before, so.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't know if it was in the language of that.
Yeah,
Something to check too.
yeah, definitely. I will check into that.
Okay.
So, is it something that you guys wanted or?
It gets submitted to.
Okay.
Do we,
to you.
How about if I take that?
do we have to stamp it? Probably.
Probably would
Yeah.
like to. Yep.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Welcome to your new job.
Thank you. Sweet too.
I'll make a motion to approve the use of the courthouse grounds by the Fort City Chamber of Commerce and the public for the pucker brush in July.
I'll second that.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the use of the courthouse grounds for pucker brush. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries.
Are you gonna sign that?
I'll sign that. Hey Scott, we're ready for you.
I'll be in touch with you.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
right, so this, I think, just gets submitted with her.
Yeah.
All
Do you
right.
want a
How
copy of
much
it?
you want a copy?
I can run it over later too.
Okay,
Sounds
thank
good.
you.
Thank you, dear.
Bye, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
I still don't know why that document won't show
So
up.
did you get the document, open it all?
It just goes to the bottom, but it won't open even.
Let me see if I can. I hate touchpads, I always have to have a mouse.
As soon as you figure it out, it'll change.
Oh, I know. That's why, like the live stream, I never know because they change the video all the time.
And what was so hard about turning the page?
Okay, so I'm just wondering, this connects to the camera then, to the projector? Right. Okay, so now you can
No,
work with it.
I sure can.
It's probably open about 5 times on there. They're probably all stacked up.
No, I closed them all out. Okay.
Morning, Scott.
Morning.
Discuss secondary road matters.
Yeah, a couple of updates. We got, I mentioned that we're gonna start crushing gravel around the 1st of May, and looks like they're getting ready to get started out there, and hoping if the weather holds by the end of the week, get started out there. We're hoping to start the rock run on Monday. So I guess I didn't ask you where you plan on starting.
Buffalo.
When you say definition of rock run is pulling out of our piles and putting it on the roads.
That's right, yep. So end to end on the miles that we've chosen to do. And it's a lot of truck traffic when we're doing that. And their boxes are up in the air and they're trying to help each other see intersections and stuff. So there's just a lot going on. So if anybody notices that, it's, you know, best to be careful and really stay away from that operation if possible. They do a nice job to try and be safe and watch each other, but, you know, any extra traffic is a hindrance.
And most of this will be from the BMC quarry then,
Yep, stuff they've stockpiled over the last couple of years in Buffalo.
because we don't have any of the crushed concrete or anything yet.
Right. Right, not at this time, so we'll be all in all the rock, and then, you know, later in the summer, we'll follow it up with gravel, and hopefully if we have some crushed concrete by then, we can do some blending.
Do you think that was a good product to blend the gravel and the crushed concrete then?
I thought it looked promising when they spread it, how it's holding up.
Yeah, I mean, it works. I mean, it looks good. Our blending of the gravel and the limestone, I think, held up a little bit better. Looks a little bit nicer, but they both have their purposes, I think.
I know that one road, somebody had contacted me on, or we were talking in passing, they said seems like their road gets missed. I'll have to think about that, who that was.
Sure, we keep, you know, records every year of all the resurfacing miles, not necessarily spot load miles, but. could always
I
look
get
that up.
calls about why we're using one product versus another. You know, they can tell the difference by the color, I suppose, huh?
Oh, certainly.
You know,
Yeah.
so, you know, I do get questions about that often. And I think I've asked you before.
Yeah, I think the short answer is we're looking for the best combination of strength and a kind of a crust ability. The coarser it is, the more strength it has, and the more kind of clay fines it has, the more of an ability it has to kind of crust over and turn into what looks more like pavement and seal up against moisture. And so, you know, the limestone from Fertile is more coarse, but it's a lot more expensive by the time we haul it here. And the gravel we have from our, you know, our pit has a lot more clay fines. And it also has good abrasion statistics, so like if the particles rub against each other, they don't break down very fast. So there's advantages to both, and what we're
So
looking
does
for.
one grade up better than the other?
Depends on the moisture and the thickness and all the other.
But typically you use the limestone product on the higher traffic roads.
That's yeah, especially, I mean, in the last 10 years, that has certainly been true. We're looking at more of a blending strategy now, even on some of those higher traffic roads, to try and hold some of that coarser material on the road rather than rolling to the shoulders. You know, like I said, those coarse rock roads are hard, but the material moves around and it's very dusty.
One thing that we noticed last year, we put a mix of gravel and limestone on a higher traffic road, and it cut down the washboarding considerably. So,
Because of that binding.
yep.
Anything else?
One other thing I wanted to mention is we don't have our bridge inspections back yet, but we have the initial recommendation to get some postings changed on bridges. One of which is the road that goes by Three Fingers Campgrounds to Kevin Williams' house. He's the only house on the dead end of that road, and then there's a little bit of farmland that uses that road as well, but it hasn't been posted, and now they're recommending a 15-ton posting. So we're looking at some options on what it would take to replace that, doing the hydraulics and checking. Guessing it'll be $100,000 to $150,000 project to replace it. We have it programmed in, I think, the 5th year of our 5-year program, so we could possibly move it up, but it's not budgeted. The biggest problem, it seems at this point, is that things like LP trucks and rock trucks, things like that, you know, Kevin would have trouble getting to his house fully loaded.
So we plow up to his yard then?
Well, his driveway starts kind of at the.
It goes over the bridge, or the road goes over the bridge?
Over the bridge, and then maybe, I don't know, several hundred feet, and then turns into his driveway.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a issue because you can't go out any other way, and that's kind of unique for this county.
Yeah.
So Kevin's been in to visit with us, and you know, obviously he's concerned about it. I don't have the answer yet.
So why wasn't it on the, it was on the plan?
It's in the 5th year of our 5-year
The fifth
program.
year of the, okay.
But the damage is accelerated.
That's what they're saying. It's an aluminum box structure that was put in 1999. In 2015, we noticed that the shape had been deformed pretty substantially, and so we had Calhoun Burns added to the inspection list to monitor, even though it should have been on that list the whole time. I don't know how it made it off. But they're saying since that time, it has deflected another 6 inches. Pretty hard to tell.
Is there any way to layer that and put another layer over the existing structure to bridge it better for temporary?
The options that I think are on the table would be to put some sort of shoring on the inside.
Oh,
And or to, I mean, if we limit the weight, hopefully the deflection stops. Replacement is probably the best option, but you know, we don't have that in the budget right now.
So what would you you replace it with? That would be $150,000.
We gotta do some hydraulic modeling to determine the exact size, but downstream is a 16 by 12 box culvert, upstream is a 14 by 10, so they're both pretty substantial structures. Concrete box, I had quoted as a 16 by 10, we don't know for sure, but about 115,000. And a similar aluminum structure, be about, I think, 95,000 or something like that.
Okay, so I misheard you. I thought you said 150 the first time. You said 150.
Well, these are just the cost of the structure to have it delivered to the site. So then we got the cost of crane and rock and labor and equipment materials to add to that. I don't have that estimate completed. There's a chance we could get a couple of tanker cars side by side and put them in there. I don't think that has quite the capacity that we need, but that road has a tendency to overflow anyway when the water comes up, and so, you know, maybe it's sufficient for maybe it's the best we can do anyway. Now, at a certain point, it doesn't matter how big the structure is. If the water is higher than the road when it's flowing through there, it's going to go over the road. So we maybe could try and get by with twin tanker car culverts, and those are about 10,000 a piece. You know, so significantly cheaper.
Well, sounds like you got a lot of research to do.
Yeah. So I just want to let you know, just because I'm sure Kevin will stop in a couple times and give updates on it.
Okay. Anything else?
The other posting changes I don't think are going to make a big difference. One of them's on this year's project, so, you know, it'll be replaced by the end of the year. One of them was one of the bridges on our possible closure list that went from 10 to 5 over toward Buffalo, southeast of Buffalo. Not a good sign, but it's still open. And the others were 29 to 20 some, I think.
So is that one by Buffalo a busy
No,
road?
not at all. Only probably during harvest or spraying time would it ever get any use. More than a few vehicles a day. So I guess that's all I got.
All right. Well, we've got at 9:15, Jim Benson to discuss drainage matters. All right, Jim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I think Chris knows everything that I need to tell you. This has been going on for a few years. With the really wet years, there was a tile over on what Wayne Johnson owns now. It was Tom Oswald, or Bud Oswald. But they had a tile that was not working, and with all that moisture, you get the overflow, and it started going toward the road. And Scott can probably tell us as much as anybody about the problems that created with washing out Matheson and Johnson's driveways and needing a bigger ground intake pipe to take it across so it didn't flood over the road. But that water, according to the drainage district, which I discovered talking to Chris about a different district, looking in the map, and she was showing me the boundary of the drainage district, and I said, well, that water is coming this to the east. She said, it shouldn't be. So that led me to go talk to Scott, which led me to come here, which over the years now, with all the continued washing and the erosion, it has washed a real gully / waterway going directly to the road ditch, and then it goes over across to the east into Dalesfield, and ultimately over into the road ditch and down my waterway, so it goes into our drainage district. And what doesn't go there goes south, and what goes south comes directly through our yard, and that got to be a real problem because it was up on our LP tank, to the point that I was afraid our LP tank was going to float away. So at that time, I talked to Scott and Mark about that water and why it was coming that way, And at that time, they said, well, it looks like that's probably the way it should be coming. But if you look at the map, Chris can show you with the little arrow there.
Cause this
Right-
is your
right-
house right here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see my waterway then, right there. Okay, so you go to the intersection right there, and then just up to Matison's driveway, and you can see another, what appears to be a waterway there. That's the gully that is formed. Now, if you go just to the left of that, right there, that used to be, if you go back to the earlier photos and the earlier FSA maps, that water used to go straight south. And Craig Johnson approached me one day. He said, why is that water going this way now, being a problem for our driveway? It always used to just go south. And I said, yeah, I know it did, but I said, something has changed there. And it's creating some problems for us and Dale on the corner of his field. But I guess the thing that brought me here was when I was talking to Chris and looking at the drainage maps. If you look at the drainage district, that water should not go east at all. And it should not be coming down to our yard at all. It should all be going in south into that area within their drainage district. So between the problem it creates for Dale, problem it creates for me, problem it creates for Craig and Scott in terms of their driveway and the road in general, I don't know what needs to be done, but I think something needs to be done to restore the original water flow.
Do you know what created the change?
Well, I actually caught Wayne out there with a backhoe. What shall I say, accommodating the growth of that waterway. And the day I approached him, I said, so you can't change the flow of the water. And he was digging in the road ditch, or digging out so they would run into the road ditch. And I said, have you called one call? And his response to me was, I don't need to, they know me. But at the same time, he told Bryce to crawl back in the backhoe and leave. So that was the end of that. And then I talked to Scott, and I think Scott talked to Mark. And that's when they determined that, well, they didn't think that was probably a problem. But then looking at the drainage district, it should have been. And like I say, that has grown into what appears to be a waterway now. If it's going to be,
Click on the drainage district.
if it's going to be maintained
It's
as
all
that,
five.
as that flow, then we need
It's
to
all
change the
35.
name
Do
drainage
the
district.
drainage districts, the colors.
And that'd be helpful.
So there it's pretty obvious. And if you go back to the earlier, on Beacon, the earliest map that I brought up here a while back after I talked to Chris, does not show that water going toward the road at all. It shows it going south.
Click on your districts again to get rid of the color.
And at the very least, if we're gonna change the drainage districts, then we need to, that's a highly erodible farm, the entire farm. There should be some waterways in there. It's in bad need of waterways, grass waterways. Which would alleviate the ditch being full of corn stalks and dirt. And I don't know how many times that ditch has been cleaned. Just recently, it was dug out again so that the water could get through the pipes.
So Chris, have we checked with our drainage attorneys to,
I've done nothing. I told him to come to you guys.
I'm just wondering if we should check and see what the Code of Iowa says about changing, or putting burden from one district to another, or one watershed to another. It's probably more than
Well,
burden.
and he's just changing the water flow. It's not changing from one lateral to another. The flow of the water, you're not supposed to change the natural water flow.
Has this been reclassified?
Yep.
This has been reclassified.
DD5 was, yep.
And changing that water flow puts that water into a different district.
So instead of going around to the the west of these houses and going down to lat 4 to get over to the ditch, it's now going this way. But is this main tile here, Jim?
There is one in the road ditch.
That tile is there.
Yep.
So if he hooked into the main,
They could tile that wet spot. Instead of dumping it on the surface, they could tile that wet spot to get rid of that water. And that, the issue kind of came to a head a few, maybe 3 years ago, like Christmas time. We had kind of a mild spell and the water was running. And my grandsons and I were going up the road and we were commenting about the water coming down to the ditch in December. And all of a sudden it was disappearing into the snow. Something's weird going on here. And that tile had actually broken through. There apparently has always been an intake there, but it's been so covered up with dirt and gravel and grass that it wasn't taking any
And that's
water.
where then?
And when that broke, it's in the road ditch just north of our place on the west side. And when that, you guys put a new intake in there just 2 or 3 years ago, and that was when it's like, whoa, that water should be going down that tile all this time. It's been plugged, and when the tile broke and the water was just gushing into that hole, that took a lot of that water. So it wasn't going through our yard anymore. But before that, it was pretty much a steady stream through our grove, and that's why I put the intake right by our grove. I extended the tile up there and put an intake there to take that water, so it wasn't a continual stream through our yard.
so my question is, the main does come up here, that's lat 4, and it comes across to the road ditch, goes up, and it is physically here, right? So if he
And see where,
tiled into that,
and see what, right at the fence line now, if you go up into the,
Right here?
right there, that's where the tile was plugged. So when that tile was plugged, all that water that should have been going in that tile was running over the surface. And it started to cut a path, and it was just a real narrow trickle over to the road. But then over time, with all that flooding, then that created a real, almost a perfectly formed waterway.
So has that plug been fixed?
They fixed it a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now that water at least is limited to the stormwater now. It's not so much every day. There for a while, I actually stopped Tom Oswald one day and I said, what's going on with the water running? I mean, it was dry. We should have been watering our lawns, and we still had water running to the ditch. And he said, oh, I guess I haven't noticed. So then that's when they got in there and fixed that tile.
And that's where the main ends, right there at the,
That main then goes all the way down to the road ditch.
but.
right,
that's
but
the
it
top of
stops
it.
here,
That's the top of it.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
the end of it,
okay.
yeah.
And then, but there is private tile that goes
Right.
on.
Yeah,
beyond-
yeah,
beyond that.
yep.
Onto-
So this is the gully that it made,
Yes. And if you go to earlier photos, you'll see that white, light-colored line goes south to the west of the houses, previous to that.
you can see it
Period when it
right
washed out.
here,
Yeah.
right?
So it didn't take a lot for the flood water, and with, like I say, they do a lot of tillage in the fall. So when you have the washing rains, you always get a little bit higher water that starts to cut a gully. So I think it naturally probably started, but then with continual tillage, you keep loosening the soil, and every time it rains, you cut it deeper and deeper and deeper.
So does Wayne own that or lease it?
Wayne owns that section now. He owns a strip all along that, parallel with that fence, 40 acres worth. And then Tom Oswald owns the rest of it. So the strip just north of the houses, where that section is, that would be Wayne's. So if that, right there, that should be Wayne.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, that's Wayne's also.
So I don't know what needs to happen. That's why I had them come in here, because I don't know how you tell a landowner what to do like that.
And it's tricky because it's not switching drainage districts, it's
No.
just diverting it from one lateral to the main and in a quicker way, shortcutting it.
But it's shortcutting it into a different drainage district, which is then putting the load on our tiles.
Well, and he's still in the main, but somehow he's gotten it into the road ditch and not into the main.
Yes.
And then it makes it so it goes across and hits Dale's corner right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the
and
biggest
then
problem
comes
is,
down here.
yeah, and the biggest problem is when you have the flood water, instead of going south, it goes east.
And we don't care about private tile, but we don't want them to be bad neighbors. You know, because everybody has a chance to private tile.
Yeah.
So
Right.
how do you get Wayne to then just go into that tile and not into the road ditch? Or into a different culvert, I don't know.
And to restore the natural flow to where it was, rather than taking advantage of Mother Nature's help in getting the my water to go to someone else. Just a little bit of help from the backhoe.
So that's 180th Avenue there, that intersection with 355th, right? If you drag it up. Yeah, 180. I just wanted to make sure. There is a DD 71 there on the west side of the road.
But that's further south, or I mean further west.
Yeah, on that side of the road. I'm just trying to get, there's a fine line there between districts. Click your drainage districts again.
Be worth noting that DD 71, is it 71?
Mhm.
Is on top of DD 5. They don't have separate boundaries from each other.
Right,
You know, most districts butt up to each other and the water goes both ways. In this case, they overlap according to the,
right.
So they call that a gray area.
makes it more complicated for sure.
Two greens make a gray.
Yeah,
It's kind of.
So what we're saying is, he did cross districts. Because that's DD 71's main tile, not DD 5's main tile. So he is crossing
So the main
districts.
is 71? Yeah.
right.
Yep.
But if he's using the main of 71, it's just not taking it though, right?
Well, he took it,
The issue is surface water,
Issues.
right?
The issue now is surface water. Once they got that plug remedied, that took away the 365-day-a-year problem.
There's
So
a,
now it's just a matter of.
So yeah,
My
there's
take
a
on it
crossroad pipe.
is this driveway has a culvert going south, and the road has also a culvert going east. The water goes overground here and splits. So part of it jumps into this district, we'll call it, and down the waterway. Part of it goes down south, and then some of it goes in the field, and then some of it goes through his yard. So he's saying that if this water went here instead of here, that would eliminate, or at least resolve, two of his issues. But the root of it, I think, because these two culverts have been here for as long as we know, we did replace them with bigger culverts recently, but proving that the water went here instead of here, I think that's the challenge.
I don't think it'd be a challenge if you go back to their older maps.
Well, you have to prove it to somebody who can do something about it.
Yeah, and that's why I say, I don't know who, I know, talking to different people who are supposed to know, it is illegal to change the flow of the water. Okay, so who backs that up? That's my whole question, is who backs that up? Because I have come to you guys since this first trickle started, and out of frustration, I didn't know where else to go, so I just came to you guys, because I didn't know who else to talk to.
so in what condition and where's the location of our intake in the ditch?
I would say if you go down just about to, yeah,
You know,
about
it's
that.
all the way down there.
No.
Is there any way we can put an intake up by that driveway?
Well, another issue, just, about drag this off for a forever, but right in the area between the driveway and the intersection of 355th, that road ditch was dug out so that the water would not run back into the field there just south of the driveway. And the same way on the east side, that ditch has been dug out, not all the way to the corner, but it was dug out so that that tile would take more water. That culvert would take more water. That was dug out a few years ago also. And on the west side, that's been dug out several times because of the amount of dirt that's coming off from that field. All that dirt that's formed that depression, you guys have all had to dig out. And what you guys didn't dig out, I dug out of our grove and moved out of our waterways. I've had to redo my waterway several times because of all that dirt coming in there. And it all happens during those really wet years. So, the last couple of years when it's been dry has been a real blessing.
Do you think a intake north of the driveway would help?
It definitely should, yeah, because that would stop, instead of having that all water having to run down all the way to the intake down where it is now, some of that could go into the tile right away.
Because that's a 10-inch main in the ditch.
So yeah, that would help quite a bit, I think.
Is that something we can do, Ethan, or?
Joe, you said it was a 10?
Pretty good
It's a
size.
10 when it goes like this, it's an 8 when it goes like this, it's a 12 down below.
Could maybe help in a low flow, but, if you get a gusher, it certainly wouldn't.
No, there's nothing you can do about that, but it'd be nice to take some of it. And then, if there's a problem at that point that their dirt is filling the intake, then we go after them for creating that problem.
That will happen the first rain, heavy rain.
It is erodible there, and the ditch has dirt in it since we cleaned it a couple of years ago. But
And
since I've been here, we haven't, pursued a landowner for erosion.
if you want to see some pictures, I can show you some pictures.
Not that it hasn't been warranted.
Well, we kind of did.
See, the worst of it is on my side, now you go to the east road, where you guys put that new pipes in, that's so full now, that ditch again. Instead of going through the ditch, it goes out in my field and washes my field away. You know what I mean? When it rains hard, there's a lot of water comes down through there.
Yep.
You clean that ditch again.
That's the intersection where the two pipes are that go across the road. And you can just scroll across there. There are pictures going back a few years of the flooding into our yard there too. Thanks, Scott. We just lined it like this, my grinder. Yep, some of them.
Not at all. Yeah, I hear you.
I've got a battery operating.
Fine if you want to do that, yeah.
Do that. So anyway, that's the issue, and whatever you can do to help us out with it, I would appreciate. Scott would appreciate. I talked to Scott. Scott, you probably know, is in a wheelchair, so it's hard for him to come. Did he call you by chance too? And he said he might, and then Craig had liver transplant, so he can't be out in public, so they weren't able to come. Otherwise, they could also, if you wanted to talk to either Craig or Scott, they could also give you the history of, well, that water never used to come this way. It used to go there. Because Craig is actually the one who called me first and said, why is this coming and washing our driveway out? It never used to go that way. And then that's when I started looking and discovered the tile that was plugged in.
But Wayne didn't have to do much dirt moving up there at the end to get it to come east.
No. The floodwaters helped him out a lot.
I don't know if the NRCS has any.
I talked to Kluber about some of this, and they just aren't interested, I think. I don't know.
I know with that one east of Leland, that steep hill that was filling the ditch, you know, they were concerned about the highly erodible there, but I don't know if this one's considered highly erodible or.
It is, that whole farm is highly erodible. And I've talked to them about the dirt washing into my waterway. And I've asked them what their conservation plan is for that land, because I've got 3 acres that are highly erodible and it's a fenced-in area. And if I go out there with a tillage tool and change from one pool or one crop to another, they send me a letter and wonder what I'm doing. So I'm not sure. But I asked him what their conservation plan was, and he said we can't share that. Which I would think that'd be public information, but
And I can,
he wouldn't share it.
We can check.
I can talk to NRCS a little bit and see.
There are several areas that should have grassed waterways because it creates a problem for you guys in the ditch, creates a problem down on the highway, and
Well, maybe we'll, I don't know, if you're willing to put it in the intake there, and if I talk to NRCS about the erodibility and management plans, the two.
How long ago was that one that was plugged, opened up?
it's a few years.
No, not more than 3 or 4.
I mean, at the top,
Adam,
at the
At
top.
the top?
Well, Wayne was out there trying to do it himself, and that didn't work out for him. So then Adam Hickman and Matt Harms, they went out there and fixed it.
Was it just filled with roots or grass or?
Roots
There
in the
were
fence
so
line.
many
And the
trees
fence-
in the fence line.
And the trees are still there?
And Wayne
They took the
owns on the
trees out.
north side of the fence line then?
Marvin Olson property, so it's Rick Olson now.
MCR Farm?
Yep. MC Olson.
But there must be a tile that goes through Marvin because,
But that's private.
yeah, it's private tile because.
That's
that was
probably
plugged
a
up.
lot of what was plugged was the private part.
It was plugged in the fence line, right where it went into the main.
And I think our tile only goes to the fence line, so it's probably mostly a private fix.
Well, when they fixed that main tile, Jeff Rock has a pasture there on Marvin's, and there was nothing but a swamp. And once they fixed that tile, that water went away.
There's no.
Would you consider cleaning that ditch again on my
I
side?
think she's clear.
But no, she's trying to click on it and it
Right
keeps
on the
popping
corner.
up.
Right on the
Are you
corner.
doing the left click or right click?
To get it to go,
Stay in the ditch instead of cutting through the field.
right.
Yeah, we
Go
don't,
south and,
Go around the corner and then it'll go to him.
Wash my waterway out.
But you
Well,
get,
which
you
is
get it
why
all
I-
anyway, so.
You know, the waterways I have were never there. But I put them both in to try to get around some of that flooding issue, gullies and whatever, instead of just plowing them in every year. I just grass them and I hay them. Well, if you look at the map of our place, it is a farmer's nightmare. We do not have a rectangular farm field on the farm.
well, that's why Mount Valley is God's country.
Well, whatever you can do to help us, I would greatly appreciate, Dale would appreciate, the Johnsons and Matisons would appreciate, so thank you for your
And I
time.
don't know if there's a better intake structure that keeps the dirt out of it or,
If we could invent one of those, we'd be,
Well, if they had, well, here again, you know, the thing is, the water shouldn't come there in the first place, but if that water is going to come there, then if that were grassed, you wouldn't have the dirt, you wouldn't have the corn stalks, you wouldn't have any of that to deal with. So, there are solutions, but you just have to be conscientious enough to take care of your property.
well, we'll look at it in two ways and see what we can do.
Thank you. I'll let you get on with your business. 'Cause
All right.
I know this has gone longer than probably should have, but it's just got frustrating because it's like, oh, not again. It's just, man.
No, good part of our, portion of our meetings are usually drainage.
It's
not uncommon.
It's just, yeah, it's just nature and we fight it all the time. But,
Great.
okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
I'm gonna stay and listen to what you have to say about recycling.
Since Randy's here, can we do his,
Yep.
before we do
Yep.
DD3?
Sure.
So he's got an issue, he owns land actually in Hancock County,
What's his last name?
Stendry.
Randy
Yes.
Stender. Okay.
And there's trees that are overgrown in the area. The landowners in the area have paid for one time to get fixed, but now they're still grown, nobody's taking care of them. It's DD 54 lat 6 FC. So, if I get out
Oh,
of-
up there, yeah.
yeah.
I've got a special map in my book for that, because we don't have it on our map before, maybe it is now.
Yeah, so he's wondering what can happen so the landowners don't have to pay again for these trees. That's his thing.
Nobody takes care of it, and like I say, I have wetlands, I spray my trees every year and mow, But, and it is kind of a bad area down in there, I understand that, but to have us pay for repairing the tile and the tree removal 50 feet, is it 50 feet both ways, or? And somebody said that might have started to change too, but somehow you have to make people responsible for the messes that they create and don't take care of. And we don't wanna spend that kind of money. It could be not only tree removal, it's also tile repair because it plugs all the tile. And last time when they went in there, and repaired, the bill probably increased by 40% over and above what they thought it would be because of the mess that was there in the trees. And now there's more going further north that's on your agenda to try to repair because of all the trees. And the existing that they already repaired, I was back in there because Denny Hagan turned it in. And I was back there and where we replaced tile and pulled trees, it's sneaking right up to the tile again. And I don't know if it's plastic non-perforated or what they put in it, but that roots will still get in there eventually. And then spend it. I don't want to have to pay this every 15 years because nobody takes care of their trees. And, that's all I'm really here for.
So this is
And I've got
that,
other neighbors up there too. And it just so happens that Hancock County pays a large percentage of their repair. There's 3 of us on that line anyway. Pays the majority.
okay, so just go through what's the source of the problem, the farming practices or
Trees.
trees?
It's basically trees. Yeah.
Trees and tree roots.
Mm-hmm.
And the fix did not clean
The
those
fix
out?
fixed it, but now they have to go further
Oh,
into somebody else's field
which direction?
to the north.
Okay,
So the gentleman that owns it is this Vic, and that's where the line starts. And so they're not taking care of the trees that are over the tile. Because you can look by here, and it looks like most of the trees are all gone. But now you've got them up in here.
take your drainage districts off there, that click, and then go back to, and zoom in real good in the problem area.
Come on.
Just hit the zoom plus. Go in as far as you can.
That's been pretty much, earlier that's been pretty much repaired all the way from the gravel road down to at least, I would say, into here somewhere. But there is trees growing back on to the tile, and then there's a lot of trees growing in here for a ways.
Looks like there's major trees at the bottom.
And it's just a mess throughout the rest of it. But I mean, when,
That's CRP now too, isn't it?
yeah,
So that should have been taken care of before they renewed that.
and nothing's being done. And I know it's hard to police all this stuff, but like I said before, I'm not willing to pay for this every 10, 15 years because somebody doesn't want to maintain.
So is this CRP or WRP or?
The 40 back in there is, I don't know which it is.
I think it's CRP,
CRP.
because they renewed it, I think they renewed it just maybe 3 years ago.
Maybe so.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been able to then
No.
if they didn't have that.
It's a mess. And there's another tile existing east of that. Just east of that, that there's a few trees along there. I don't know if it's affecting the tile or not, but
And they're willow trees too, I think. Some of them.
could be some, and then some of them just regular trees, but, like I say, if something doesn't get done and somebody doesn't police it, I'm not willing to write a check every 15 years, I'm just not.
Well, that's probably another one I could probably talk to the NRCS about the effects on our drainage district on.
But like I say, there's some plans now to do some more work in there. Danny Hagan turned it in, and I'm sure it's because all the, to pull the trees and walk away is one thing, but usually when you have to pull the trees because it's on top of the tile and the tile is fairly shallow, the tile has to be replaced too, and that's when the pocketbook really starts to hurt.
And that tile is pretty shallow, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Jane's dad used to own that, and I helped him farm that a few years, and I know we
Yeah.
bought that, the shallow tile and the trees at that time.
Yep. It don't take long for the roots to get in there.
No.
And then,
So that was 6FC
6FC
and 6FA.
Well, and FB and 6F, that's all in that one section, or that one parcel.
Okay.
I think there's something going to remove the trees already. And then I think they're trying to get somebody else to pull the rest of them out of there and kind of clean them out, the last I heard.
I guess I don't know anything about it now, but
No, you wouldn't probably, but,
Well, I just want to know.
so there's something going on, but I'd appreciate if people would, if we kind of check and make sure what's going on and,
So all I have to do is identify that 40 acres there is where most of the problem is.
the 40 and then, yeah, that would be, I think the writing here is where I went back in there when Danny reported it, they replaced it to there almost. Through Torkelson's at that time.
Replaced what? Or just took
They
the trees out?
replaced the tile. They replaced the tile with private and then got it marked about right in here with a post, and it got if you guys go back in there, there's a post and it shows kind of where they stopped, so you kind of know where they stopped. But like I said, as of right now, those trees are itching right back into it. And then, yeah, so, and then when you come down here, the road's kind of like, I'm gonna guess it's right in here. How far is the road away?
It's down another 40.
There'd be it right there. So this, as far as I know, was replaced down there, and they took a bunch of trees out back then, but it's growing back in. And then up there, where you see where they evidently, Denny thought that's where they stopped. I don't know that for a fact. But the trees are all growing back in there again.
Now it's 340 at the county line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I own this farm right here, I believe. And then through here, when they done that, they put a bunch of big rock in there, and of course that's captured all kinds of trees.
Yeah.
We got growing up in there and it's a mess, but they went down in here, and for this tile, I believe is a 10-inch, I believe. Can you tell?
I don't
Probably have it on this map.
You can see it on here.
They stuck a 5-inch orange intake here to take the water, and the remainder is supposed to go over the top of the ground, I believe. That's how it's designed.
Yep.
That's why it's always wet back there. But there is time, I have wetlands and some nasty, but I take care of my trees. I mean, there's times you just have to go do it.
Right.
But I would think if a guy had a better intake here other than a 5-inch intake, as long as you got, I believe, a 10-inch or 12-inch tile, be we had one of those ones, the old style ones that set flush with the ground, it would take, and don't plug right away, them 5-inch orange intakes, you know what they're like.
You'd be out there all the time.
Yeah, you'd have to have a full-time person unplugging it, but if they could maybe put a better intake there, that might help them too, so there isn't quite so much there, but I know those old cast iron ones, they're hard to plug and they take water.
This one says FC is 8-inch, where it crosses into the county.
It is 8, okay.
10-inch a little farther north.
So it might have been 10-inch where we were standing out there with Danny, so, but,
Yeah,
the
where
way
it
the tile
crosses,
looked anyway.
where it goes from one 40 to the other, it's 10-inch.
Okay.
But crossing this county line, it's probably 8-inch on our end of it, I think.
Well, trees is a major problem, like I say, the trees cost a lot of money when you start replacing it. And it's gonna happen over and over again. One reason is because that side doesn't pay a whole lot.
Well, I gotta meet with NRCS anyway, I'll see
Okay.
what I can do.
Okay, I appreciate that. Keep the trees away. Thank you.
So we haven't even gotten to the area where I am dealing with the NRCS now. So are we on drainage now?
Now we're gonna be on, yeah, number 4.
Okay, so, number 4 now, okay. That's a different one. So before we were on drainage, though, general discussion, or,
With him, with Randy.
I
Randy was
don't-
under general discussion?
He was under
or-
just drainage.
Yeah,
Yep,
Was there
let's
another
finish that up quick.
I don't have any more.
I have
Okay.
is it DD 27, Dan Arnevik's in?
Okay.
He's supposed to be tied again.
Okay.
That Branstead property up there, it just, they don't maintain their trees up there, and what ties into Dan's north of Gary Wonders, once again, is plugged, and just kind of letting you know what we're dealing with up there. You know, TJ Herrick has a contractor who is Elliot Evans, who can't get there for 3 weeks, and so now Derek Yeagy's going in and kind of opening it up to see if he can try it out to get repairs done.
So what is the issue? I mean, what's,
It's probably willows getting into
Probably
the,
tree
and
roots in there.
whose willows are they?
well, they're the DNR. And, of course, they don't want to replace, they put the 20-foot sticks of 10 or 12 inch through there that slide together, but the willows get right in there, you know, at every joint. And it's dual wall, smooth inside.
So if we have Derek Yeagy do this, are we sending the DNR the
No,
bill, or?
it's probably not going through us. I'm just letting you know
Okay,
what's going on out there,
Okay.
and we're trying to force them to get something done.
gotcha.
It will
And
be their repair.
TJ will be coming out?
It's mostly NRCS working with it right now,
Okay.
but some of the funding's coming from the DNR.
Okay,
We have to have the drainage district property owner that petitioned it, he's sort of petitioning it. And then so NRCS and DNR all working together, trying to be on the same page.
sure.
They'd like to push just to get down there, narrow it up, and try to just, for now, jet it out and try and get the roots out of there, and then go in and kill all the trees that are causing the problem.
Good,
They've got a
okay.
drone from down by Britt that can go in there, and all they have to do is create a shape file. They do 100-foot wide on that shape file,
Nice.
so it's pretty
We
nice.
just had that issue dealing with DNR with that by my place.
Oh, yeah, I saw that they.
It was all willows, great big huge cottonwood tree, and they allowed us to take it down, but I don't know how much they'll
Yeah, if you do the work
work it.
without
Sure.
their involvement, you're on your own, pretty much.
Well, they were there, but they wouldn't commit to paying for any of it. it was difficult for me because I said, you know, it's your ground, it's your trees, it's
that
your
was-
roots.
And that was
Mhm.
private, and that was private tile,
Mhm.
so you probably have less ground to stand on there, probably.
Yes.
At least we have, formal things here we could push with, so.
Mhm.
But I know Lynn's working really hard since he's unable to get out in the field anymore. He's doing more work in the office. And he's trying to push them to create shape files. They're actually marking the tiles now with their W posts 3 inches wide. So you actually know where the tiles are, and then he'll create shape files. And
Who's
the
doing that?
Lynn,
Oh,
he's a technician in Thompson, so.
Yeah.
But the guy, that JD Gomat from Garner, is about him as far as dealing with our problems. So he's trying to make some changes. See what we can do. That's all I had on that.
Right.
Bill, did you know any more on that one? I know you talked to Bill. Well, we'll move on to discuss with possible action DD 311 lat 4 tile.
Alright, well, I guess Lynn Crawl was digging up on the north end in Peterson's ground there. There's 2 tiles there. One was original, put in like, I can't remember what it was, early 1900s.
Can you find that one up there?
Mhm.
The second one was put in 65.
Looked at too many of these lately.
Right. I'll shut the light in. It's so much easier to see. So here's the lat 4. And come to find out, there was the original one put in, and at some point, they put a new one in on the north side of it.
The new one's on the south side.
Oh, the new one's on the south side.
Yeah,
Okay.
the old one, like, it comes across the road right here and dumps into the ditch right there. But basically, they're probably about 200 feet apart right here. And then up at the top on the gravel road, they run parallel with each other about 5 feet.
Close.
And it looks like from the minutes and everything that they read, they never abandoned the old one. So
2 working.
there's 2, yeah, they're both still operating. But now there's an.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I don't know why I thought I was talking all this time and you guys weren't hearing me.
No, I just took one finger out of one ear.
Yeah. On that one with Arnavec up there, is that one of the cases where we can use some of that money that we set aside, being the DNR probably won't want to pay for it?
Oh, they're gonna, sounds like they'll pay to maybe jet it out.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I think if we all stay on the same page, Dan wasn't thrilled with that, but he would accept it for now to get the problem solved.
All right, yeah.
And if they can go in and spray the trees, then I think we'll be okay.
This is the old one.
All right, I kind of misunderstood that. I was busy trying to figure out how to unmute myself here. I finally had to hang up and call back.
So now we're on that DD 311 lot 4. You said there's an old tile and a new tile. When was the new tile?
Like 65, I think it's.
1965.
And so there's two working tiles, and then,
So the old one, I think we figured out yesterday, so I'm not 100% sure on that yet, but the problem with the newer tile, from what we can tell, is it's about half full to 3/4 full of dirt.
What is, it's clay?
The newer one is concrete,
Oh, it's concrete.
the older one is clay.
and they don't know why there's dirt, cause there's no trees.
Right, so there's
I
an
mean, it's-
intake,
Well, is there some blowout somewhere, or?
not that we can find, I mean, it doesn't show any problem areas, but it's definitely full of silt and dirt.
What kind of soil is it then? Just not peaty or
No,
anything, it's just.
so there's an intake in the north ditch on the north side of 400th. Right where it crosses the road, right there. And that, I mean, that, we look down that and that's half to 3/4 full of dirt. And then there's one down the fence line, well, right in here. And that's still full of dirt. And down here where it outlets, it's barely moving. And where we're fixing right now, it was broke in the middle of the road. So we're fixing that and that thing's it's full.
So there's good pressure on it from up above then?
Yeah, where Lynn dug it up on 400th, I mean, we couldn't get, we were 2 feet above it and it was boiling water out.
But down below, is there still pressure down there?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the newer tile is not really doing anything, so.
He also thought he had his private tile tied into the old one, land, or
Right.
north of the road.
North of the road, I think, well, we think that's tied into the old one.
So whose property is that up there?
Peterson, Paul Peterson.
Up here?
Yep. I guess the issue right now is just kind of the newer tile. We weren't sure on the old tile, but I think we found the problem now, so.
So he's gonna,
Your
what are we gonna do about the dirt in the tile?
That's
That
the
is number-
question, is what needs to be done with the dirt in the tile.
What do you think should be done with the dirt in the tile? I mean, how do we get it out of it?
Replace it.
Yeah, I don't. You need I guess, I don't know what the.
If you dug it up and stuck a jet in there, how long would it take to do, 50 feet?
And then the hard part is you have to start at the bottom and you jet up as far as you can, clean that, go up
That's a long way.
500
Oh, yeah.
feet, clean that 500 feet, and then go back down to the bottom. You'd have to just,
Is it possible?
yeah, take 2 weeks to.
2 weeks?
What's the limits on, I'm trying to remember, on jetting for size? We were trying to do this one down here, and I think it was almost too big a pipe to try and jet, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got, through it, but you can see that we punched a hole that big and.
Is it 10 or 12 more manageable then?
Right, yeah.
And what's that one then?
How big is this, this 65? 1965?
I think it's a 16-inch, and then it goes somewhere to an 18.
It's bigger than I remember in those minutes.
There's a 15 on the north side, and then it turns to a 16. Then farther down, I think it turned into an 18.
So an 18 is what outlets into the ditch.
I can't remember if it's 18 or 20. Let's see
So we're,
box.
where it crosses the road in the north end, it's 16, is it, or is it? Yeah, probably 16, and then where it crosses, or gets to the other road, it's 24.
24 into that box. Because it's a drop box in the road there that it goes into, the newer one.
So the question of the day is, what do you guys wanna do?
What do you wanna do, Bill? I think it's his baby.
Because nobody is getting
Oh.
very good drainage. Correct. Because of all of it. You know, all the people along.
Yeah. This one is where?
Southwest of Thompson, DD 11, or 3-11, lat 2, or lat 4, I guess.
It covers 1, 2, 3.
It's about a mile long or more. How long a distance are we talking? Is it just road to road that the problem is, or at an angle?
At an angle there.
So it's probably about a mile of distance. Chris, do a measurement. Just click on your ruler up there. Just go there from the point each road to road, straight shot. Just see what that distance is.
And that's running more water than the new one is.
So are they both district tiles?
As far as they could tell that
It was
when the new
recorded
one
in
was
our-
built, they didn't abandon the other one.
Okay, so in 1965, there was a project to put a new tile in, and they just ran them parallel.
Mm-hmm.
So it would just be a repair if we
Right.
put a new one in.
Which one? We would just be repairing the old one.
Yeah.
Well, the new one.
New
They're
one.
repairing both.
But the new one's the one that's full of dirt. The old one's the one that they're fixing now with the blockage.
So you, even if you did
A mile of
Of both.
anywhere from, what, 18 to 24?
18 to 24.
That's an expensive project.
Right, I think you need to talk to the
That's gonna
landowners
take
on
some
that.
time.
and
That's
See what,
gonna
I
take
mean,
some,
yeah,
you're gonna-
this is just something that we found while we
Sure.
were there. And
And no one has petitioned anything, you guys just.
so it's full of dirt, huh?
yeah, you can look down the intakes and it's just trickling about that much water through a big tile. But the rest is just silt,
And what kind of tile is it?
concrete.
The new one's concrete, and the old one's clay.
What do you wanna do for process here, Bill?
We got any of the landowners know about this yet, or?
The Peterson one that Lynn
Paul or Carl or
Paul.
Paul?
has, Lynn has talked to him about it, but, I mean, Lynn's been digging up in that parcel that's highlighted right there.
So it's affecting Paul?
Yeah.
And who the other landowners along the line there?
You get
Gary Graver,
Gary Greer, Betty Olson Trust, and Missman.
Sharon, oh, that's the northwest corner of Sharon. Now I know where. Miss her.
And we don't know who has private tiled into the new or the old. You know, so if the new one is all full of dirt and somebody's tiled into it, they're not getting very good drainage.
Any complaints?
Well, I know,
From anybody,
I know
though?
who farms Sharon's. I could ask him directly how it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a little short bit.
But I would think it'd create a problem in that
Right.
corner.
And I don't know the watershed of Lat 4. You know, how far it goes. You know,
Click on your just on the drainage district boundaries.
well, that'll give you the whole nut.
Yeah, I'm just curious how far it goes. Are we on the edge of it, or are we? No, it's big.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's lots of flats.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, technically, it's been found in a state of disrepair, so it says you shall maintain, but,
But we want,
None of the landowners,
Nobody's
what's
complaining.
that?
and I don't know if any of the landowners wanna spend a lot of money on it, but you gotta solve some problem. And the tricky part is, when you got two tiles there, and neither of them are working good.
Has this been reclassified recently?
Mm-hmm.
So you're working in two spots at road crossings right now?
Lynn was working up on 400th and we're working on 70th.
Okay, so is there a possibility of seeing how it works after that then?
Yeah, once we get done with the road crossing, we should be able to see up on 400th. That's that old line,
Okay,
depressurizes. And one line would work, but that other one, we're not, no one has touched.
and maybe in the meantime, we can talk to the property owners and see how it's working in their area.
Yeah. I think what we're working on right now will solve a temporary problem, other than that clay that we're working with right now is rotten.
Okay. Are you okay with that plan, Bill, when they get these road crossing areas done, see how it's draining? And that's just
That's
on
probably
the.
yeah. That's, probably the route that should be taken, I guess, and then, like you say, let the landowners know, and then they can decide what they wanna do.
Has Paul officially, no, he hasn't done a petition, so we don't have to fix it.
So why did Lynn start? Did Paul have an issue?
If what,
There was a tile hole in Paul's field.
Okay, so he originally did call Lynn.
Called Lynn to fix it, cause Lynn pattern tiled that,
Okay.
or that portion of that field, so he thought it was that, but then it ended up being the main underneath. So.
Well, that sounds like a plan then, we'll see how things go.
Yep.
Is there any of those landowners you wanna talk to, Bill, or? I suppose we can wait to talk to them,
I-
the farmers have been through it, and
Yeah,
Well, the one that's really gonna wanna solve it is the one who just spent the money to pattern tile.
right.
that's which one?
Oh, isn't it?
All pattern tile? Okay.
all that pattern tile is going into these plug tile?
Yes.
I would say so.
Yeah. Whoever's paying for the pattern tile is gonna want it fixed.
That's what I just said.
Well, unless it's just going to the next field. Then they want that.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll be a trickle down, literally. All right. I guess I'd be okay with that.
Investigation. Is that good?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, we just wanted it brought up to your attention.
Sure.
Good to know.
Kind of get the ball started in case it doesn't solve the problem, I guess.
At least we start getting phone calls right and left, and we'll know what's going on. It's so hard to know how long it takes for a tile like that to get half full of silt and.
Well, we opened it up last Friday and it was still boiling water yesterday afternoon.
I don't think the next rain's gonna be real bad, is it? I don't think we're supposed to miss most of it.
I think so,
So it may have a week to determine how it's working.
yeah. Yeah, well, we've taken a ton of pressure off of it, so.
Yeah. Well, I wrote down all the property owners,
Do you have it? Okay. I was just saying, I can
at
click on
least
them
in
again.
that section, and
Okay,
the ones affected.
perfect.
I know every one of them, so.
Okay,
So I'll work with Bill on that.
okay.
Give me their names, I can contact them too.
Yeah. We'll see what happens first, and then we'll go.
Yep.
All right. That's all for that one. Now we're up to, get the lights back on.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're up to consider for approval B&W spraying quote for fiscal year 23-24.
And as you know, Don passed away, so his son has taken over.
We did?
He did.
not
See
know
that?
Oh,
I didn't know that either.
yes, he did.
His son's taking over, he said?
So Nate is taking over.
Good.
Yeah. We had DD 101, which is when DD two was formed, it came down to a natural waterway. When DD 54 was created, it went up to the natural waterway, and finally DD 101 decided that should be a district. Well, to our knowledge, the trees have never been really taken care of.
Okay, so
Because-
where's that at now?
It's down in Mount Valley,
And it's what district?
DD 101.
Okay.
So there are some overgrown trees, there are some landowners that live in there that it is part of their yards. I have talked to one, and so between Nate and I, and he's gonna talk to the landowners along the way. He's gonna spray the trees that we want to not have there. I did tell the one landowner, if it's in the ditch, we really have to get rid of it. We understand that trees outside of there, if you wanna keep them, there's also some trees that have, eagle's nest. Obviously, we don't wanna take care of that.
Oh,
Down there in the yellow.
So Nate is going to spray what he can. He will talk to each landowner along the way. He wants to make sure he goes out there and not his guys, so we make sure we get it this first time spraying it.
are they non-receptive?
No, they've all been very nice.
Okay.
They just were like, well, this is my yard, so can we leave some of them? And we want to be as nice as possible. Obviously, don't take down the bald eagle nest. No,
Those
no.
are big trees.
I feel like that is against like a federal law.
My applicant, it's better to reroute,
So
Now,
I
is this,
don't-
is this a ditch then?
it is.
Okay.
It is. It was natural. I'm assuming like 11 Lower Main is just a natural.
Relocate there, it'd be easier to look on there.
Where?
Just bring it all the way to the southwest quarter, of the
Yeah.
or southeast quarter of the county.
Yeah.
Just slide it to the left.
Yeah, I know how to do it.
There we go.
And it's
Yep.
right up in here. Cause is that the highway?
It should be a mile off of the county line, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's 54, that's Highway 9, yep, so it's right up in here. Yeah, cause it's this guy's yard right here.
Oh, that's, right.
So there is a lot of trees in through there.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns that one?
Gertis?
Dale.
Mm-hmm. So,
Contract, builds on cabin tree.
mm-hmm.
So that's
His
actually,
dad built Norm's house.
so that ditch is actually separating two districts.
It sure is, yep.
So everybody gets to share on that one.
DD2 comes into it, DD4 comes up to it, and then it's DD 101.
And you got the orange one too.
Mm-hmm. So he's just gonna, do as much as he can without disrupting a lot. Cause it just is there to there. I mean, it's not very long, but we just need to get it on our rotation,
Right,
pretty much.
but it might end up being,
What, has it not been?
No. And I looked all the way back to the records that we have, and it's never been on there.
Oh, just
Yeah.
because it goes through people's yards?
I don't know. I don't know
well,
why it
that,
wasn't.
it's not just one district, it's lots of districts probably.
Yeah,
But still,
I don't know. I don't know why it didn't.
that fell through the
Right.
hole somewhere. That's too
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't notice that.
That's what I'm thinking.
So,
Should have had the drone out and checking that out.
right.
Well,
But-
so
One, two,
just needs to,
Four, five.
Nate's well aware then.
Yes,
And he's
yeah,
gonna take care of it.
he is,
And
yeah.
he's gonna contact landowners so that we don't have.
Right. Most of them, if I remember right, it was just the ones that were down in here, like the Gerdas. I don't know how many more were in physically somebody's yard.
Okay.
But, you know, there's a bunch of trees up in here.
So, yeah, we're just gonna have to make sure that that gets on the rotation. Are we sure
Right.
that there aren't any other situations like that in the?
I don't know. I mean, that would, I don't
Well,
even know.
We dealt with one, you know, west of town here a few years ago, and, you know, we've tried to get, the raging Buffalo Creek fixed, but that's.
Right.
Nobody wants to get together on that.
Right. And at least this one is a district. It just got missed.
So just because we had this gentleman, Mr. Randy Stenzer
Stenzer.
here earlier, I mean, is that an option to hire B&W, you know, for those kinds of,
He just does ditches, mainly just sprays ditches.
yeah,
I think you're better off with areas like Randy's, they're better off going out and spraying with the drones probably.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so anyway, I just wanted to bring that one to your attention for sure. The rest of them look like they were done 3 years ago, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Do we have the document?
Yep.
You got it.
Yep.
Go ahead and stamp it.
Approved or received?
Approved.
Just after you look at it, you can decide to use it or not.
This is only an estimate.
Well, if I remember correctly, they always estimate
High.
way high, which
Yeah.
I don't
I-
like that.
Isn't it
I know.
typically then about half of what they estimate is what they?
Half to
end
3/4.
up- Yeah,
Mhm.
depending on the year.
Right.
This one might be a little higher on that part there, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how much he can spray and how much is gonna have to be
Mhm.
taken down.
Yeah.
Removed, actually.
Well, I'm okay with it.
I'll make the motion to approve B&W spraying quote for fiscal year 23-24.
I'll second it. On a motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the spraying quote from B&W Spraying for the drainage districts, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. You know, I probably forgot to put vice chair on that event one.
That's okay. I got it. I got the stuff.
5 minutes?
Thank you.
What's EAP?
Oh, we're gonna use a new one. It's cheaper than the one we had now.
What does EAP stand for?
Employee. It's Employee and Family Resources. What? I don't know. Ooh, Employee Assistance Program. There we go. I was gonna say, I know it's something.
Okay, we're gonna move on to discuss with possible action on the EAP, which I've now found out is the Employee Assistance Program.
So right now we use EFR for that, and to renew it is $5,750. And Carla found a connections process company that is almost $1,000 cheaper. She checked with Brittany, and Brittany agrees that it's a good program, same as what we have. It'll just be cheaper. So
And what does this program do?
connections.
Does this to educate us on healthier living or?
That and employees can use it if they've got mental health, child issues, prenatal support.
Okay.
They do all sorts of things for
A
employees.
lot of resources for them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And you get so many times free to do this or that. I know people have taken advantage of the system, so
So
that's
what's
good.
the actual bid on it?
For 48, 34, 80.
3480.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have no problem with that.
Is it a requirement by the health insurance, or what is it?
That I'm not sure.
Seems like once upon a time, way back, when we were with another company, I think they always encourage it because we could keep our insurance
Right.
lower.
Could keep it lower.
Because you've got a
Mhm.
resource
Mhm.
of information.
Okay. Yes. So,
Well, I'll make a motion to enter into a contract with Connections for our for our EAP program.
A second.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to enter into a contract with Connections for our EAP program, for Employee Assistance Program. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion with possible action regarding marketing for rural recycling. So are we gonna try and create a mailing list of who would get this, or is it gonna have to be more, how do we determine that?
that's you guys.
So
How do you want to do
I
that?
got this recently, and you probably got it too,
Yeah.
from Waste Management.
But there's two
This-
different versions to get. You got the one that
This
they
is
aren't
the
offering.
one, put your cart curbside and they'll
Right.
pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that went out to Winnebago County occupants. So that basically went
And it was to an address.
to an address and an occupant.
Yes.
So that's an option.
If we come up with addresses and populate addresses from, I imagine, through our beacon, possible.
I don't know. I don't think Beacon could.
Or could
I
it
know
just
when
be a
we,
flat mailing, a flat rate to every address?
well, you'd only want to do the ones in the rural.
I know, but I don't know how
Because
to.
it's only 1,000 versus
Mm-hmm.
4,000.
I know when we started that system, it took Sue and I a while to figure out the file that we needed that just had rural addresses.
So you have done that before then?
Sue and I did.
Will, with Waste Management, I mean, we had a contract with them, they were servicing a certain number of people, and they knew every address that we were servicing. So they would have a file,
Well, you don't,
because they sent to everybody, this, or they sent to everybody the new option of,
yeah, there's two different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but so do we think we have that file still?
Well, you'd have to do a new one.
Okay. How is it different from the old one?
Well, because I don't even have that anymore.
Well, Sue would have it.
I vote we should do a new one,
Okay.
just to make sure if there's any new houses built or, you know, or some
Yeah,
are gone
obviously, I
or whatever. I
wouldn't
mean,
have
that's 10 years old. So,
It's only a few, you know. It doesn't
I don't
make it
suppose
doesn't-
they're just gonna give us the file.
I don't suppose.
Yeah.
But they, you know, honestly, they should have been proving to us who they were picking up from.
Yeah, but that's water under the bridge
I
that's
know.
now gone. So, yeah, we should probably come up with a new file, because we may be communicating later as changes
So
come
is
up.
we, me?
Ask,
Yes.
ask Sue to come up with it,
Work with Sue.
or work with Sue.
Yeah. I would think there'd be some kind of a Excel file or some kind of a file within her beacon system.
It just took a while to narrow down
Right.
to get just the rural. But
We gotta have rural, Rake, and Scarville. Right?
Mhm.
Those are the only
Not
two
Leland.
towns that are included.
Not Leland.
No, they have their own. Thompson has their own, Buffalo has their own.
okay, what do you want to say? Are we doing a postcard? Are we doing a letter? Or
I
what?
don't-
How do you want this to be?
Cheapest.
Information that you want
Postcard's
on
the
it?
cheapest
Mhm.
for mailing cost, but, you know, is it gonna say enough? Are we gonna wanna have more than one document in there to explain, you know, a map of where this is?
Well, what information, if it were going to be you, what do you need to know?
Well, the basics are, our rural recycling program is changing. And it's soon, according to, so that's the whole thing. They didn't let us know 90 days ahead of time that they were dropping us by the 1st of May.
Yeah, well, like you just said, water under the bridge. We
Yeah.
have to go with
So
now.
everyone has already received this information, so they already know that. And they already know that they have the option to go with them. So they've
Well,
already.
no, some of them, just a few of them.
Not every landowner
Does
has
yours
gotten a
have the
postcard.
option to go with them?
No,
Yeah, see,
Right.
neither did mine. I think it's just basically your Rice Lake people maybe, and where the populace are.
oh, they.
I don't know.
There.
I don't
I
know
know-
who
I
got it.
know-
I don't know how they did it.
Outside of Pilot Knob there,
They got
they
it.
got offered.
Okay.
Okay.
'Cause he was telling me it was $7 a dumpster, per dumpster, per month, plus the fuel fees.
The
And
admin
if
fees.
you have 3 and you go back to 2, they charge you $75 to eliminate that, or come out and pick it up. He's not thrilled.
Okay, so where is this, what is the address of where it's gonna get picked up?
I had to look that up on Google.
Yeah.
I gotta look it up again. I had it on, we have it on the contract.
Don't have a contract.
Well, it was in our meeting last week.
Yeah, well,
You can
Carlos
find it
got
in
it.
there. On the contract with Scott, it will be there.
so the information
it's
that
on
we
First
need is just simply that it's a one location,
It would, a 2-sort,
two sort,
that it's gonna be the cardboard and paper and everything else.
yeah,
But
so,
then we wanna make sure we identify what you can't put in there. No
Okay, so you said 2-sort. One is
plastic, paper and cardboard,
paper and cardboard.
and then the other is we call it tin cans, aluminum, and plastics, the plastic containers and glass
Glass.
bottles. And then you wanna have the things that aren't allowed, and we should probably look up the typicals, like no plastic bags. And no furniture, no TVs, no electronics of any sort. And we will be monitoring it and
Yeah, by
identifying
cameras.
people who abuse it. Do we need to explain in there why we did what we did? Due to changes in recycling demands or recycling?
yeah, I think that could be the lead, you know, due to changes in
And
recycling
worldwide.
Procedures, I don't know how to say it either.
How I had that figured out.
Well, I feel like it wasn't the recycling changes, you guys wanted cheaper, so you went a cheaper route.
Well, it was more justifiable if they were actually recycling. But even, it was, the cost of curbside was getting too high of a burden.
Well, we could just say to save.
It's not we wanted it cheaper. It's just that we were paying more. All recycling is expensive garbage. I just read something on a deal on recycling, and across the nation, only 9% of it is being recycled. Plastic and stuff like that.
I just can't remember where it is. Let me try this one.
Get rid of your layer for drainage district.
Oh, sorry.
Where are we at there? We have to zoom in some. So it's Harrison Jackson. It's that white one by the pencil.
That one?
Yeah.
Look at that.
But there's no address on it.
Oh, shoot.
That's why I had to go to Google.
Oh,
Google Maps told me what the address was.
okay.
But
That's why it's
in
on the contract. Since we're a government entity, they don't include it.
Mm-hmm, makes sense.
No mail.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it just gives this address.
Okay.
I don't know if we should indicate the address and say behind the post office and library in Thompson. The alley behind the post office and library in Thompson, they can identify with that maybe. And that it will be a trailer with containers on it.
Two containers, right? I mean, because you have a double sort.
I think there'll be two on each side.
So it has.
They're just,
Each side will
There-
right, Bill?
There are 4 doors on each side,
Oh, each side.
but there are two compartments.
but they'll be labeled.
So the 4 doors on the front of the trailer go in one compartment, and the 4 doors on the other end, on the back of the trailer, go to the back compartment.
Then how does it, so front and back is the split for sort?
Yep, there's just a divider inside that keeps it separated out for the
So you can use each
Paper-
side
paper.
for both.
If you go to one side, you can do paper in one and the other in the other compartment, right?
side. You can take care of everything you got because the front 2, I think, end up with the paper, and the back 2, I think, end up. I'm pretty sure I'm right with that, but
Well,
the back 2 end up with the
I
plastic
think
and
they
the
will
glass.
I'm sure they'll be well marked.
They have to be, and he's aware that it's gonna have to be well marked.
And
Yeah.
what is the date that that's going to be there?
Well, originally we were talking the end of May, but it's gonna have to be earlier now, whenever
Has
you.
anyone talked to the Scott about that?
I think he can put it there at any time. Right now, the metal to remodel the trailer that he's going to have for the second trailer is on back order. So he hasn't got the other. So he's going to put his good trailer there, and until he gets the other one going, it'll have to be gone for a few hours on certain days when he goes to empty it. But and maybe he can park that other trailer there. You can just row stuff in, then he'll have to transfer it.
I'm guessing the
But,
first month is not gonna be a high usage.
Well, it certainly won't until they get the letter.
Because everybody will get picked up here this month.
Yeah, everybody gets picked up
Yeah.
at.
I think
I
most
think we're gonna
everybody,
come
I
up
don't,
and
I don't think it's gonna be a high traffic area at all.
What's that?
I think Waste Management is gonna pick up your cart
Yeah, that
with
was
the
the letter.
recycling, right?
Right,
Okay,
but they'll get picked up this month, so, you know, they may start taking stuff over there in May, but it's gonna take a while to transition.
yeah.
So you can have this too, but we can write some more stuff on here, but just like to ensure tax money is being used responsibly, and to ensure that recycling is actually being recycled, we have chosen a location, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
with containers, 4-door, 2-sort, glass, tin, plastic, cardboard and paper, no plastic bags, no TV, electronics, no furniture, and will be monitored with cameras. Something like that.
Mhm.
I bet we could, I feel like we could get that.
On a
Could we have a
card,
map? We
Well,
could
that's
even
what-
have a map.
I mean, if we had it
Just
in
pull it off of
in
here
a
and-
letter form, we could insert at least 2 pages in there if we wanted to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it'd be easier in a letter form.
yeah. I'm just gonna write maybe a map, letter form. Maybe we'll have to stay after and stuff envelopes.
okay, so I need the address.
Which is in the contract.
Map. I think a map might be helpful to people.
Yeah.
Since there's no street signs.
Right.
Back there,
Mhm.
a map. And there'll have to be some pretty,
And if we
Clear
create that map,
labeling.
we'll put in there where the library is, where the post office is, and where the county shop is.
Mm.
In the midst of it, where this trailer's gonna be.
so if we're mailing to 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And we have to have this printed somewhere, is it something that we can just print?
I think we can print it here, can't we? Just letter form.
Just,
If it's just a letter and an envelope, it's just to get the addresses then.
mhm.
Does the map have to be color, or can we just,
Be a lot cheaper if it wasn't.
1,000 copies of colors, not cheap.
You might have, well, I don't know, 'cause you're getting every person in Scarville and every person in Rake and the rural, so I don't know how many that is.
Well, I know our contract was about 1,000, wasn't it?
Right, so,
Give me 800 to 1,000. Well, we're not doing Rocky Knoll, they got their own contract.
oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't want Waste Management anywhere near that place, so he contracts, I think, with Absolute.
Oh, okay, I think I've seen their
And I know
parts out,
the guy out at Pilot Knot was trying to get Absolute to take care of him too.
yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't.
I don't know who Absolute is, or where they're from.
That way somewhere.
Okay, so, Sue, can I borrow that writing that you just
I
had?
just have it, it's on their letter that they sent.
Okay. And then I'll get with Sue to try to get that
Mailing.
address file.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Any other things on that?
Hmm?
Anything else on that?
No, I mean, that was just
Good.
the marketing, so.
So Bill, are you gonna touch base with,
Scott,
Scott and just make sure he's completely on board with all of this
May 1st.
for May 1st?
I can. I just drove by him and waved at him.
Oh, well, good. Turn around and go talk
But,
to him.
I'll talk to him and see if he can get it there a little sooner.
I don't think it's gonna be,
I'm trying to remember when the
No.
contract said it was started. Seems like it's,
well, Scott would know if he signed the contract.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
we just did it last week. I'm trying to remember what the date on the contract. I thought it was.
Yeah,
like by
it's not
May
in her
1st.
folder, so I.
It seemed like the date created an overlap. All right. We're on to open forum.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, I can even sign the minutes from last time. So,
these are some new hires. These are some new managements. These are some drainage ones to approve. So did you just say you were here last week?
So I signed.
Okay, I didn't change that when I did the minutes, so I will bring it next week for you to sign. If that's okay?
Like the new page for you, Iowa.
Yeah, what's that $5,000 one?
Well, that's changing their capacity. So much ahead that it costs them to do that. So it looks like there'll be about 4 million ahead. But I don't know if that's at the end of the entire project or if that's at the end of the first part of the project. So I was thinking they're gonna be over 5 million altogether.
Wow.
Okay, anything else for open forum?
Alright, you gotta sign this.
Julie, are you on?
She's on vacation, I think.
Oh, she is?
She was yesterday.
Julie,
Okay.
oh, I don't know.
Well, there was, I thought Julie was gonna be on, honestly, on the environmental county sanitarian.
I don't think she can yet. The date that it's open is until the end of the week.
Okay.
So there's no action that can
there's-
happen between
Okay.
now and then.
To the end of this week? Is that what it was?
28th, I think.
Okay. So she'll probably get on the agenda for
For
next week.
yeah. All depends on who applies. Okay, approval of county claims. You look at them, Susan,
I did.
you stamped them.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Approve
county claims. Oh, I'll second that.
All right, I got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the county claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Every one of those, I probably have to put the VP in there. VC. Forgot about that. Do you suppose I can just put VC instead of vice chair?
Yes. What do you think?
Yeah.
The time I did it, I wrote it out every time.
I have been, but you know.
Yeah.
Just more
it's getting-
responsible, Bill.
No, he's smarter than I am. He thought about abbreviation. I didn't think of it.
I just thought about it after all those others.
I need a new map.
I do too.
I threw mine away by accident.
Oh, by accident.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
thought yours was so bad or something.
No. No.
Okay, so payroll claims.
We got new ink in these. Look, ink all over. Careful.
So Bill, is the season gonna be spread out quite a ways?
The spring season?
Yeah, what you're working with?
Yeah, it seems like it started out like it was going to be over in a hurry, but now it's starting to drag a little bit.
I know there's a lot of reluctance out there to plant.
Yeah, there's a lot of reluctance to stand themselves. It's just they have to do it because they can. A couple of fields that were planted on the 10th that are already starting to sprout, so.
I saw some pictures of some seed that was planted on the 10th and it's just was sitting there too. They dug some up.
Yeah, I heard of 2 fields where they dug some up and it was starting.
Okay.
But if it's too cold, sometimes it'll turn around and start growing down. Have you planted any, Susan?
Nope. Nope, and it's gonna get more rain this week.
Yeah, and snow
And
by Sunday, I think.
I heard that too. Nope, we're holding off.
Yeah. So far.
We don't have 10,000 acres to plant.
But you also don't have 236 row planters.
236 row high-speed planters.
That's a difference.
Yeah.
Did you hear what you're missing out on, Bill?
All that stamping?
Mm-hmm.
And the groaning from the guy that has to sign them?
Yeah. Oh, she's either getting a lot better at that wrist motion, or that thing. It's just noisier over the speaker or something. It's really loud.
We got new ink in it, and I'm not complaining because it's nice to have new ink, but it also is getting all over everything.
I noticed the first ones were a little shaky.
Well, she's her year, so
So what are you hauling, Bill?
fertilizer and her mixed with herbicide.
Both?
I've got Surpass on right now.
That's the brand of it, Surpass?
Yeah, Surpass
Surpass.
NXT.
We'll have to send them a bill for the advertising.
There you go. Well, that stuff's been around so long that, I don't think you could hardly advertise it anymore.
All the patents are off of it, huh?
Yeah.
I know something's been around
Big
long
no.
enough if they actually have a lawsuit against them.
Yeah. Do, yeah. Yeah, Surpass isn't one of them that I've heard that mentioned yet.
I'll make the motion to approve the payroll claims.
You wanna second that, Bill?
Sure.
All right. Got a motion from Smith and a second from Gensel to approve the payroll claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. I believe that's the end of our agenda. We stand adjourned.
Well, I guess you'll have to have pie for me again today.
I'm not sure I get to go. I gotta call home and see what's going on the farm.
Yeah.
Always something. Stay safe out there, Bill.
Good
Yeah,
seeing
you
Bill.
too. Yeah. Well, I was just glad you guys could at least hear my voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have that picture